I've been wanting to do a book haul since August. Ooh, I wish I could have done that for the thumbnail, but actually my arms are hurting. Hey everyone, it's me, Jess, and I'm just so excited to say, I don't know what people do when they get 100 or over 100 subscribers to their channel, but I finally did it, everyone. For those of you who have been a subscriber on for those of you who have been with me for a while, I made it to over 100 subscribers, so yay for me. So in celebration of my milestone, I have a very, and this isn't even all the books that I bought in the last couple of months, because I have a problem. I really do have a problem. So I have a massive book haul for you today. And if you're new, because I know there are some new subscribers, welcome to my channel. My name is Jess. This is my puppy Granola. He's a massive beast. He drives me a little bit crazy. He's quite annoying sometimes, but he's a love bug too. Are you a love bug, Granola? Yes, you are. And I have an older dog. But anyway, you're not here for the dogs. You're here for I don't think anyone's here for the dog content. You're here for the book content. So let's get into this book haul. It's really an accumulation of books over the last couple of months. I've been wanting to do a book haul for a while. I just haven't had a chance. So this is a perfect opportunity to do that. Let's get into this pile. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to talk about is a book that I already have a copy of, but that I wanted to get another copy of. Anybody else have that problem? I do have books in my library that the copies that I have are kind of fragile. They're older and they're a little bit more fragile, so this is one of those. So this is Middlemarch by George Eliot, which I have yet to read. I think it's going to be one of those, it's 700 plus pages. I think it's going to be one of those big books that I tried to read next year. So I think it's going to go on my classics list for next year. I think it's really pretty with the gold lettering, and it's got these cute little inside inlays. Is that what they're called? I've never read Middlemarch. My father, before he died, always suggested Middlemarch to me. And I feel a bit badly that I didn't read this book when he was alive, so I would have been able to discuss it with him. But I'm going to read it now. So it's like a study of provincial life, fictional 19th century Midlands. My family is from the Midlands in the UK, in the midst of modern changes. It's considered a masterpiece of realist fiction. Sounds like a drama, a small town drama in the mid-19th century, right? So I'm kind of excited to read that, but not this year. I don't think I'm going to get to it this year, but I do have this great copy, and I feel like sometimes my wrist gets really tired when I hold these heavy books, and I feel like this could be a situation where my wrist gets tired. And then, so that's one classic that I got, and then I picked up a copy of this book because I saw everybody talking about it on the booktubes, and that would be Stoner. If you're around booktube, you probably already know about this book. It's another book sort of just about this man's life. He's a professor. His name is William Stoner. It says his life is quiet, and after his death, his colleagues remember him rarely. It says, yet with truthfulness, compassion, and intense power, this novel uncovers a story of universal value. So it's like a portrait of someone's life. That's quite a quiet book. But people have said it's quite a terrific novel, and that they really enjoyed it. So I picked it up, and I would like to get to this at some point. All of these books I would like to get to at some point. I'll try not to say that after every single one. The way that it's been described by other booktubers that I really enjoy, and I think I have similar opinions to, makes it sound like a book that I would really like. So I picked that up. Some of these I ordered from the Book Depository. Actually, I ordered Stoner from Book Depository, and I ordered the next one. I don't know if people care where I buy things, but I kind of buy all over the place. I buy online, and I also buy at my local indie bookstores, and sometimes I buy from the Canadian big box retailer of books called Indigo. I also seen this. This is another classic, Invisible Cities, Italo Calvino. I don't know why they don't have his first name on the front of the book. I guess he's that famous. This is also another quiet book. that I guess is a bit hard to describe, and it's about Venice. I have been to Venice. I've been to Venice more than once. Actually, I've been to Venice twice. It was a special place because I went there when I was young with my mom, and then I went there subsequently with my boyfriend at the time, and so I think it'll be nice to read about Venice. And I've heard really good things, of course, about Invisible Cities. A classic. These book hauls are always a little tricky to do because I'm never quite sure what to say about all the books because I don't know that much about them. Usually it's because somebody recommended them or I heard someone talking about them on YouTube. Those are usually the reasons why I pick up these books. Or sometimes it's just because of the title and the cover, which is the case for this one. Tell Me I'm Worthless. Look at that cover and the title. I mean, I actually myself am not super into this style where it's this really bright title on a really dark background, but I do think that the title is intriguing. And then I did read the blurb. It says a dark, unflinching haunted house novel that takes readers from the well of the literary Gothic up through Brighton's queer scene and out into the heart of modern day trans experience. And I picked this up because I wanted to read it around spooky season, but I really had such a selection of books. Like I still have books from that TBR that I didn't read yet. And I had such a good selection of books for spooky season that I didn't get to it, but now I have it physically, so it's on my physical TBR, and I'm not sure when I'll read it, but I think it sounds intriguing. I don't know if it'll be any good or not. I haven't heard that much about it, but I will let you know. And then the next couple of books are books that I've heard other booktubers talk about, in particular GK Reads recommended these books a couple of different times on her channel, and I like her. She and I have pretty similar taste in some of the books, so I grabbed these because she recommended them. The first one is a memoir. It's called In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. It says, prismatic, engrossing, and wildly innovative, In the Dream House is Carmen Maria Machado's account of a relationship gone bad and a bold dissection of the mechanisms and cultural representations of psychological abuse. Sounds pretty heavy, but I have heard that it's powerful, so I'd like to read it. It says, Machado doesn't contain our terror. She stokes it and teaches us about it. I'm always really interested in psychological, I'm not interested in psychological abuse, but I am always interested in psychological manipulation, not because I want to manipulate people, but because I want to avoid it. And I feel like there maybe have been times in my life where I've been manipulated. Anyway, the reason why we read different things can sometimes be quite personal, but for me, it's interesting to read about other people's experiences because I have had some experiences that I'm still trying to work out and understand. I think this will be a fascinating read, and let me know if you've read it or if you've heard about it. Another one that she recommended, which I think is pretty known, although I didn't know about it until she mentioned it, is a book called Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. And this is a National Book Award winner. I don't know what year it won the National Book Award. Published in 2011, so it's funny, I just missed this one. I think it might be based on Hurricane Katrina. Yeah, it says the memorable clan deals with the threat and then the actuality of Hurricane Katrina in much the way that Faulkner's folk once dealt with fire and flood. The voice here is lyric, unsparing, and fierce. You won't forget this book. Cool. I do want to read this. I think this will be really, really, really good. It's very exciting to revisit the books that I've picked up because I do have quite the pile. And sometimes you pick something up based on a recommendation and you don't remember to put it on your TBR. I also like to go through my TBR on Goodreads sometimes too, because I will sometimes add things to that TBR and then I can easily forget that it's there. Another one that sounded interesting to me that she suggested, which is a thriller, is called The Anthill by Julianne Pachico. She said this was one of her favorite thrillers. So I love a good thriller, so I'm curious to see if I like it as well. When Lena returns to Columbia after 20 years away, she's searching for the one person who can tell her about their shared past, her childhood friend, and protect her, Maddie, who now runs the Anthill, a daycare refuge for the street kids of Midland. Something is violently scratching at the inside of the closet door. The kids are drawing unsettling pictures, and there are mysterious sightings of a small, dirty boy with pointy teeth. That sounds like a thriller to me, but I think it's set in Colombia, so that could be really, really interesting. My dog is snoring really loudly, my older dog. Sorry. She's having a nap right at my feet. So please ignore the snoring. Oh, and this I did order online from the book depository, Fish Swimming in Dappled Sunlight by Riku Unda. I had heard good things about this as a thriller as well, and so I wanted to give it a try. It says, set in Tokyo over the course of one night, Aki and Hiro have decided to be together for one last time in their shared flat before parting. Their relationship has broken down after a mountain trek during which their guide died inexplicably. Now each believes the other to be a murderer and is determined to extract a confession before the night is over. Oh, cool. Yeah, this sounds really good. Another murder that I heard so many good things about that I picked up along the way and a translated work is Elena Knows by Claudia Pineiro. I know I've heard nothing but good things about this, and it's also like a murder mystery. I'm gonna have to move this up my TBR. It says, when Rita's body is found hanging in the belfry of the church she devoted herself to, the investigation is swiftly closed, but her mother, Elena, refuses to accept the police's version of what happened, and despite the physical limitations imposed by her illness, embarks on a journey to call in an old debt. Sounds good, and I've heard excellent, excellent things about this one as well. So many amazing books, so little extra time. Right? Oh, this one looks interesting too. I'm not sure if this is going to be a home run, but a woman in my book club recommended this. We often go around and everybody recommends books, and then we vote on the books that we end up reading. And this was one of the ones that was suggested that we did not end up reading, but I still picked it up because it sounded interesting. I think it's a rewriting of history or a reimagining of history. It says, London, 1953, 13 years have passed since England surrendered to the Nazis. Right. So it's a reimagining of what would have happened if the outcome of the Second World War had been different. Rose Ransom, a member of the privileged Gelly class, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, remembers life from before the Alliance, but knows better than to let it show. She works for the Culture Ministry, rewriting the classics of English literature to remove all subversive thought that might give women ideas. Oh, okay, so it's about the oppression of women under this revised outcome. Widowland, the rundown slums where childless women over 50 have been banished. Oh, I think it'll be interesting. I think the combination of the rewriting of the outcome of the war and the attention to barren women or older women is going to be an interesting combination. So I'm going to give it a go. I think it looks interesting. Let me know if anyone's heard of it or read it, because I haven't seen or heard anything about it. This had really intrigued me at the time people were talking about it. It's called Other People's Clothes by Calla Henkel. I don't know what the ratings are, and I didn't hear people talking that much about it after it being hyped up a little bit, but it still piqued my interest. Two art students arrive from New York, both desperate for the city to solve their problems. It's set in 2009 in Berlin. Zoe is grieving for her high school best friend murdered months before in her hometown in Florida, and Haley is rich, obsessed with the exploits of Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears, and wants to be a Warholian legend. Together they rent a once magnificent apartment from eccentric crime writer Beatrice Bex. With little to fill their time, they spend their nights twisting through Berlin's club scene and their days hungover. Things start happening in the apartment, and they think that the landlady is kind of using their lives for inspiration for her books, but I think it's a thriller. Things spiral out of control. I really want to read this. It's been on my physical TBR for quite some time, and I always look over at it and I go, I really want to read that. So that, I think, as well, I'd love to get to soon. So many good books on my radar at this point. And then another book that was suggested in my book club, which I had not heard of before, and I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce the title correctly. Apeirogon. Yeah, I think that's right. Apeirogon, a novel by Colum McCann. Colum McCann, what else did he write? I think he wrote Let the Great World Spin. I think that was the name of it. Yeah, Let the Great World Spin. This book is about, it seems like it's quite a heavy book. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard about it on BookTube, actually. It was written in 2020. Colum McCann's most ambitious work to date. Apeirogon, named for a shape with countably infinite number of sides, tells an epic story rooted in the real-life friendship between two men united by loss. Bassam Aramin is Palestinian and Rami Elhanan is Israeli. They inhabit a world of conflict that colors every aspect of their daily lives, from the roads they are allowed to drive on to the schools their daughters Abir and Smadar each attend, to the checkpoints, both physical and emotional, they must negotiate. Their worlds shift irreparably after 10-year-old Abir is killed by a rubber bullet and 13-year-old Smadar becomes the victim of suicide bombers. When Bassam and Rami learn of each other's stories, they recognize the loss that connects them and they attempt to use their grief as a weapon for peace. The women in my book club ranted about this being such a good book. So I like a good serious contemplation on some of our biggest challenges as humans, and I think this is a pretty good, this is going to serve that up for me. So I picked it up and I'm really glad I did it. It's really a wonderful thing about being in a book club is you really do learn. I mean, it's sort of the same kind of wonderful thing as being on BookTube and following people on BookTube, is that you do learn about other books that you might not have known about, or you might not have thought to pick up. What else? I picked up Olive Kitteridge by Elizabeth Strout. So we selected O. William in our book club for the book club pick, and I'll do a wrap of it later in the month. No, I'd heard so many people say so many good things about Elizabeth Strout that I also went ahead and picked up Olive Kitteridge. After having read it, I don't know what to think. I'm not sure if this is going to be as fantastic as people say. Definitely there are mixed feelings. Some people really love her writing and some people don't. So I think I'm still on the fence and I'd be willing to give it a try. I don't regret picking it up. I'll give it a try at some point, but it's not high up on my list of what I want to read next. But I'm glad I picked it up. I did watch the TV show and I thought it was pretty good. Another one that I've been wanting to read and wanting to get my hands on for a while is A Passage North by Aruk. I don't know how to say this author's last name. Arudpragasam. Arudpragasam? I hope I said that correctly. So it says, A Passage North begins with a message from out of the blue, a telephone call informing Krishan that his grandmother's caretaker, Rani, has died under unexpected circumstances. The news arrives on the heels of an email from Anjum, a woman Krishnan fell in love with years before while living in Delhi, storing old memories and desires from a world he left behind. I read a couple books like this about people returning to their homes under circumstances of death. I'm familiar, but I think it'll be really interesting. I heard really good things about it from, I can't remember who. I think it was Jess of Sunbeam Jess who was ranting about it. I don't always agree with her, actually. We have a lot of differences of opinion, I think, in the books that we like. I don't know, the way she talked about it, she made it sound quite beautiful, and it sort of made me feel like I wanted to pick it up and check it out. Oh, I really hope I said his name right. Anuk Arudpragasam. This is a kind of a weird one that I picked up, Rabbit Cake by Annie Hartnett. This is one of those times where I was just in the store and this looked interesting. So I picked it up. I will just say that this is it sounds like a humorous but also heartfelt look at grief and loss. And as many of you know who've been around my channel for a while, I've been dealing with grief. So when I picked it up, I wasn't expecting that. And then I read the back and I thought, oh, you know what? This would be really probably a good thing for me to read. So I'm glad I picked it up. I hope it's good. I've not heard anything about it. And no, let me know if you know this book. Let me know if you know any of these books. I also grabbed two others, which I'll tell you about. This is The Son of Good Fortune. It says winner New American Voices Award. I don't even remember where I picked this up. I think I just, again, saw it in the bookstore and thought it looked interesting. It says Excel tries to seem like an unremarkable American teenager, but his family is far from normal. His mother, Maxima, was once a Filipina B-movie action star who now scams men online. The old man they live with is not his grandfather, but Maxima's lifelong martial arts trainer. And years ago, on Excel's 10th birthday, Maxima revealed a secret that he must keep forever. Excel is undocumented, and one accidental slip could uproot his entire life. I mean, it just sounds so good. I've never heard of this book. Has anybody else heard of this book or read this book? By, I want to say Leslie Tenorio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I hope so. this just looks so good. So I will report back. And then the last one that I picked up is Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff. I had seen lots of people talking about The Matrix by Lauren Groff, and I did see it in my local library, and I did take it out of the library, but I didn't have a chance to read it. And then I don't know how I got the idea that this book was better than The Matrix, but I did. So I did pick it up from the bookstore. It says, a landmark novel about marriage, power, and perception, written by one of the best writers of her generation. I mean, I think that's debatable, right? Some people don't vibe as well with her. It says, every story has two sides, every relationship has two perspectives, and sometimes it turns out the key to a great marriage is not its truths, but its secrets. At age 22, Lotto and Mathilde are tall, glamorous, madly in love, and destined for greatness. A decade later, their marriage is still the envy of their friends, but with an electric thrill, the reader realizes that things are even more remarkable than they have seemed. With stunning revelations and multiple threads, and in prose that is vibrant and original, Groff delivers a deeply satisfying novel about love and art that is unlike anything that has come before it. Well, this is quite a promotional blurb. I don't know what this book is about, except for that it's about this relationship. So I guess I'm going to find out. I am going to give it a try. I did see a really funny video of somebody doing a reading vlog where they were reading like the first chapter. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but they were reading the first chapter of books. I've never done anything like that, and maybe that would be an interesting thing to do. But she read the first chapter of this book and she was like, no, I don't want to read this. So I don't know why I want to read it. I think it's going to be potentially good. So let me know if you've read any of Lauren Groff as well and what you thought. And then the last book I picked up used, you can see my little $5.75, is Bewilderment by Richard Powers. I read the Overstory last year around Christmas, and one of my goals has been to read other books by authors I discovered in 2021. So I picked up this. I don't normally buy hardcover, but since it was used, I decided to grab it. I think that this was either longlisted or shortlisted for, I don't remember which prize now. One of the prizes. This is about a father and son, and the son is ill. What can a father do when the only solution offered to his rare and troubled boy is to put him on psychoactive drugs? What can he say when his son comes to him wanting an explanation for a world that is clearly in love with its own destruction? Whew, heavy. This is going to be heavy. But I've heard it's really, really good as well. And I really like the Overstory, so I'm happy I picked it up. I'm happy I found it used. I don't think it's out in paperback yet. It might be out in paperback. Those are all the books. Not a short haul, not a small pile that I've managed to procure over the last few months. And I'm officially not buying any more books for the year, even though there's like only a month and a half left of the year, but I'm not buying any more books because traditionally my family gives me books at the holidays for Christmas. So I'm really not buying any more books this year. Like I've said throughout the video, if you've stayed all the way to the end of the video and you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this book haul, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, just thank you all so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh, apparently 100 subscribers is a big deal. It's like there's all these videos that are made about how your life gets better when you've had... Does this ever happen to anyone else where your collar is just... So the recording stopped. I have no idea where I was in the reading of the back of the spine when it stopped.